Hello, my name is Keshwani. It's K-E-S-H-W-A-N-I, Keshwani. I have been solving GMAT data sufficiency problems out of this book here, GMAT Review, the official guide, 12th edition. I think I got it down now. GMAT Review, official guide, the 12th edition. I should practice it in front of the mirror about 1,000 times and I'll have it down. Anyway, if you do not own this book already, purchase one immediately. You're going to need it in order to follow the work and in order to prepare for the real exam. Don't waste your time and money in buying all the other products in the market. I'm sure they're fine, but my logic is very simple and very straightforward. Why buy the fake thing when you can work with the real thing just as well? If you're going to spend your time and money practicing for the exam, practice the real exam. Because even if the other stuff that is on the market comes pretty damn close to the real thing, why should you settle for something that comes damn close to the real thing when you can find the real thing just as well? Anyway, let's get going. Reminds me of a clip from Big Bang Theory. If you've been watching Big Bang Theory, there is an episode in there where Sheldon wanted to eat the big boy cheeseburger and they brought him to some different restaurant and he was told that this comes pretty close to big boy cheeseburger. And he says, why should I settle for something that is close to big boy in a universe that already contains the big boy? So you must eat that big boy. This is the big boy of the GMAT. Alright? Anyway, enough of the plug. I don't know why I plug it so much. I have nothing to do with it. Number 7 is what I'm about to do. Let's take a look at it. Since these are data sufficiency problems, as soon as the data sufficiency problem appears on the screen, get in the habit of writing this thing. A, D, B, C, E. Write it down someplace on your piece of paper there. A, D, B, C, E. Let's look at the problem. It says for which type of investment J or K is the annual rate of return greater? Okay. Return is greater for which type of investment? J or K? That's the question. Let's see what the first statement tells us. In the first statement, they tell us that the type J returns $115 per $1,000. Well, that's very helpful. $115 per $1,000. So we can figure out what the return is on J. That's pretty straightforward. We don't actually have to figure out the figure. We just have to realize that this is enough to ascertain the actual return on this investment. This was investment J. Now let's do the K. And then they go on, see if they say anything about K. Type K returns $300. Type K returns $300 on 2,500. So there we go, that's the K. You don't have to actually figure out the precise return. You just have to be able to realize that this is enough information to figure out where the return is higher. That's all. So the first statement is great. First statement works by itself. First statement works by itself. It tells me that if the first statement works by itself, it tells me that the answer is going to be either A. It's going to turn out that only the first statement is enough, only the first statement works, or it might turn out that either of those statements would work. We'll look at second statement and see if second statement is also sufficient to answer the question or not. If it turns out the second statement is also sufficient by itself to answer the question that is being asked, then the answer will be D, either. D stands for either. But we can immediately rule out B, C, and E. It's not going to be any of these. Before we go to second statement, could you tell me very quickly, just pause your thing if you have to, and do the work. I just want to see how much work you actually have to do to tell me where the return is higher. What's the return here? Is $115 per 1,000. $115 per 1,000, but here it's not 2,000, it's 2,500. So how do I figure out quickly? Well, if you double it, 115 plus 115. I'm doing this work which is unnecessary. You're not going to do it in a real exam. This is just out of curiosity. So that gives me 230, and then this is 2,500, so another half a thousand. Half of this amount is not even 60. It's not even 60. See? 60 with the negative sign on top of that tells me that it is less than 60. How do I know that half of this is less than 60? Because it's less than 120. So if you were to add up this up, this is 290. This is so. If the return on this one is same as that one, this figure should be less than. Where am I going with this thing? Just give me a second. Maybe it will come back to me. Oh, 290. See, if the return on this investment was same as this one, then the total return should be little under $290. But this is $300. That tells me the return is higher here. The return is way higher here. Well, not way higher, but it's higher. I hope you understood the logic. Because you see, half of 115 is going to be less than 60. 230, which is, this is 1,000, this is 1,000, this is 500. This is for the 500, this is for the second 1,000, and this is for the first 1,000. And if you add them up, it's less than 290. Return here is 300. That tells me the return, whatever it is on K, is higher than this one. Anyway, this was unnecessary work. I don't know why I did that. I shouldn't have done that right now. So erase this thing. I'm going to erase this too, because I don't want you to think that you have to actually figure it out. You don't have to figure out which one has the higher return. You just have to be able to realize that because they're giving you all the information, they're giving you the amount of investment, they're giving you the return on the dollar amount the absolute amount of dollar in return. Well, you can figure out the percentage return, the yield rather, on the investment very easily. So statement 1 is enough by itself. Let's look at statement 2. The annual rate of return for an investment of type K is 12%. All right. Return on K, yield on K is 12%. Does that tell me at all which one has a higher return just by looking at itself? Just by looking at second statement itself? No, second statement tells me what the yield is on K, but tells me nothing about J. So if I do not know anything at all about J, how can I answer this question? Return is greater for which investment, J or K? I cannot answer that question based only on second statement. So the answer is not D. The answer is A. That's all. That's all. We are done. Before I wrap this thing up, I want you to realize something. Just let me put the cap on it before I keep talking here and before I forget it. I want you to realize that in this exam, whatever statements that they give you, whatever information that they give you in the first statement and the second statement, they agree with each other. In other words, here, whatever return that works out to be here, whatever percentage that works out to be here, which in this case actually 11.5% precisely, it's 11.5% precisely. Whatever information that they might have given here in second statement about J, which they did not, they gave us no information on J. But had they given us any information on J, the return on J in this statement would also have been 11.5%. In other words, if we found out that the yield here is bigger than here, then whatever the difference is, whatever this precise percentage is, that's exactly what's going to work out here. I'm going to show you in a second. Look what they tell you about K. They tell me the return on K is 12%. If it's 12%, then on $1,000, 12% is $120. Another $1,000 would be another $20, and another $500,000, another $500, another $500,000 will yield you 60. You see, if the return is 12%, which is what they're telling me, the return is 12%. So 12% on 1,000 is 120. Return on another 1,000 is 120. Return on another $500,000 is 60. If you add them up, you get exactly $300, which is precisely what they told you here. In other words, okay, let me explain this. Okay, in other words, if the first statement, when you work on it, in the first statement, if you find out that the return on investment A was bigger than the return on investment B, because A was 10% and B was 8%, then in the second statement, you're not going to find that the return on investment is still greater, return on investment A is still greater than B, but A is 5% and B is 3%. You're not going to find that. Or A is 5% and B is 4.5%. You're not going to find that. They're consistent. The information is always consistent in the both statement. There's another way of sort of checking your work. If things do not pan out, if you find out that you did the work on the first statement and you found out that there are 40 boys in the class, and when you did the work on the second statement and now all of a sudden one boy is dead, or all of a sudden one more has appeared, nobody has died and nobody has had a sex change. All you have done is mucked it up. So redo it. Okay? Don't get excited. It's mucked it up. It's with an M for Mary. Bungled it. So just redo it because they are consistent. The information is consistent in the both statements. Anyway, enough of that. I hope you found it helpful. If you wish to get hold of me for personal private tutoring, I do tutoring, face-to-face tutoring, obviously, in Connecticut area, in Manhattan, New York, and Surrey, and so forth. I also tutor over the internet through Skype, and I also tutor over the telephone. It does work if you want to try it out. If you wish to get hold of me for any aspect of your preparation for GMAT, go to my website at www.for gmat.com and send me an email. Or you can go to www.keshwaniprep.com and send me an email. These words that you see here, when the words crop up in the lecture, I may give the impression that I'm brushing them off, but I'm not, because if I were brushing them off, I wouldn't have gone through the bother of writing them down. You must have a good dictionary. Buy a decent dictionary. Don't depend on some cheap dictionary or electronic dictionary. Get a real, proper dictionary, and look them up. Look them up properly and learn them. This is what I use. It's called American Heritage Dictionary. These are excellent, but you don't have to buy this one, obviously. Buy a proper, decent dictionary and get in the habit of looking up the words and learning them. It does not hurt to expand one's vocabulary, even when one is doing a math problem. It does not hurt. Okay. Anyway, enough of that. Thank you.